The New Testament of the Bible contains 4 Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. The Gospels tell us Jesus had many followers and he had many disciples. We might call them apprentices, but he chose 12 to be what we might call his inner circle. One of the 12 is a guy named Simon Peter. Of the 12 disciples, he might be the most relatable. He might also be the postmodern disciple. He might also be the disciple who could make it in 2023 with the least amount of adjustment, aside from the culture shock and everything. I think Peter would fit in pretty well around here because Peter was so blurty. He was so impulsive. He struggled with impulse control. He just blurted out without thinking. Can you imagine if Peter was around today and had access to social media? Like if Peter was on Facebook or one of the other social media platforms, I'm not sure it would be pretty. But Simon Peter would fit in because he was so blurty. One example of Simon Peter's blurtatious nature is an event called the Transfiguration of Jesus. You can read about it in Matthew 17, Mark 9, Luke 9. Here's the story. Jesus selected 3 of the 12 disciples to go to the top of a mountain with him. The 3 disciples were Peter, James, and John. Something happened to Jesus on that mountain. He was transfigured. All of a sudden, there was all kinds of light around him and shooting out of him. And then all of a sudden, Jesus wasn't alone anymore. There were 2 figures with him. Neither of those figures was named James, John, or Peter. They are identified as Moses and Elijah. How the disciples knew they were Moses and Elijah, I'm not sure. Maybe they introduced themselves. Maybe they had placard necklaces or little cards attached to their robes. But James, John, and Peter knew they were Moses representing the law and Elijah representing the prophets. Now, Jesus, Moses, and Elijah were huddling up. They were talking. The Bible comes right out and tells us that the 3 disciples were terrified. We might say they were experiencing sensory overload, and none of them had any clue what to say. And so Peter blurted out, "I know what we can do. I'm going to build 3 booths. Jesus, 1 for you. Moses, 1 for you. Elijah, 1 for you. We can just freeze frame this moment. We can just stay up here because this is so cool." That's not a quote from the scriptures, but that's what Simon Peter said. Basically, Jesus, Moses, Elijah, you don't have to come down from the mountain. You don't even have to go to the festivals. I've got your booths. I'll build them right here. And all of a sudden, there was a voice from heaven. The voice said, "This is my beloved son. Listen to him." And then the voice was gone. Moses and Elijah were gone. All the light was gone. It was just Jesus and the 3 disciples. He had no idea what to say, and so he blurted. Has that ever happened to you? It certainly happens to me. It's not healthy, it's not good, but it's hardwired into our culture. But I think these scriptures have something to say to us. When we have no idea what to say, when we are overwhelmed on sensory overload, we don't have to blurt. We don't have to join the ranks of the blurters. We can listen instead. The voice from heaven, this is my beloved Son. Listen to him. How do we listen? How do we listen to Jesus? I can only tell you how I do, by immersing myself in the scriptures. Carla and I are reading through the 4 Gospels right now, so that every day we have God speaking to us through the 4 accounts of Jesus. Prayer is another way that I listen in my heart. I've never heard God speak audibly from the clouds or anything, but unmistakably, things have happened inside me that I know did not come from me. We can pay attention to the circumstances of our lives. We can listen to God in nature. There are lots of ways that we can listen to God's voice. So, the next time you have no idea what to say, you have no idea what to post, you have no idea what to text, maybe don't blurt. And I'm saying that to myself as well as to you. Maybe don't blurt. Maybe take God's advice and listen. Just be alert for the signs of God's presence. Amen. Grace and peace.